It's Hammer time! Specifically, Hammerin Harry time. Now this is a series that I like, but also want to like, which means that I don't actually like all the games. It's a thing that I have with certain series like Adventure Island, also Goemon, which I will make a video on soon, where I want to have all the games, I want to like all the games, but then I end up not liking all the games because not all games are made equal. But Hammerin Harry, aka Daiku no Gen-san, again the carpenter, was Irem's flagship series, pretty much. And it started with an arcade game in 1990, which for the longest time I couldn't play because it wasn't released anywhere, and I can't figure out MAME. Turns out though, I can't figure out MAME on a computer because I just can't figure it out, because even though I have the ROMs in a directory, they don't show up in the list. And other games that I don't have show up in the list, and then I click one in the list and it doesn't start. Like, I have no idea how MAME works. What I do understand is I got this Anbernic device, and it came with a bunch of games. One of them was the arcade version of Hammerin Harry. So I have finally played it now. And it's basically the same as what came after, which is the NES game, although it's in better graphics and it has one-hit kills, which is not fun. I don't like one-hit kills. That leads me into the NES/Famicom version, which came out in Japan and Europe, not America for some reason. Although the arcade game was released there, so I don't know, that's weird. This one adds a small life bar, like 2 hits, and you can also pick up items like a helmet, which gives you an extra hit. That would become a staple of the series. And in some of the games you can also get like a vest, which acts as armor to take another hit. As you'll see in the first game, if you play it, either the arcade or this, it has a main theme, which carries in all the games to come. And like Goemon and others, it's a good main theme, so I'm glad to have it. So since you're a carpenter, you have a hammer as your weapon. Although it's not the kind of hammer that I just held up, which is, the Western kind of hammer. It's the wooden type hammer, which I've only ever used in real life in wood shop class in school. In the games, you swing it around, but you can also do. It's slightly more advanced than that, being a game from 1990/1991, I suppose. You can hit the ground, which stuns enemies for half a second. You can hold up, which makes him lift the hammer over his head, and you can also press B while you're doing that to attack things above you. In some of the games, you'll actually swing above. There's also power-ups, like there's one who makes him swing the hammer in a circle. There's one that gives him a big spike ball as a hammer, or just like a metal hammer in general. This one, when you hit the ground, will make small energy or whatever shoot out, which attacks enemies from slightly more of a distance. So the hammer is slightly versatile, which is nice. And the first game I enjoy. Actually, I think it's the only Hammerin Harry game that I've actually beaten. My problem is that all Hammerin Harry games have that thing where it's just really easy to get hit. And since you can only take a couple hits, it's really easy to die. And when you die, you hear one of the 2 main voice clips in any Hammerin Harry game, which is Teande, which is a old style Japanese saying, which kind of means like oh no, or oh shucks, that kind of thing. In the European version he says ow! And also when you start a level in Japanese he always says Ikuze, which is just like a rough bandy way of saying let's go. And in the European version he says let's get busy, which is in retrospect kind of funny. I also like that the first stage is called Needless Markup Shopping Mall. But yeah, the first game sets a good precedent. I always kind of think about this, how it came out in 1991, which is kind of a late generation NES game, but it doesn't really feel like a late generation NES game. It feels like it could have come out in 90 or 89 even, but there we go. It's also weird to me that, like, I have no idea who made Daiku no Gensan, Hammerin Harry. There is no information of the creator, the father of Hammerin Harry, because this came out around that time where Japanese games did not have credits in them because they were afraid of having other companies headhunt their employees, so they just didn't have credits instead. Not all the game companies did that, but some did. I guess Irem was one of those, so we don't know who created Hammerin Harry, which is a shame. Next, chronologically, was Daiku no Gensan Ghost Building Company for the Game Boy. This, again, came out in Japan and Europe, did not in the United States. This one, I think, is pretty good. There's another Game Boy game, I think this one is better than that. You start out with, you have 5 possible hits in this. There's also the helmet, like before. You start every stage with 3 pieces of health, but the enemies drop health fairly often, so you can kind of easily get up to 5, which is nice. And the first stage I think is pretty good, but then the second stage is a horizontal shooter. While I do like how he flails around like in the wind when you're not shooting, I'm not good at these kind of games, and it's kind of hard to hit the enemies, so I have a hard time surviving that stage. But up to that, it was a pretty good time. So apart from not being able to get very far, I do enjoy this game, and I know for the record I haven't tried that hard either. Then there's an only in Japan game. It's Hammerin Harry 2. Akakage Dan no Gyakushu. So it's like Red Hair Dan Strikes Back. This one I bought in Fukuoka when I was there one time. There was this shop that was in like an apartment. It looked like just any apartment, but it was a game shop. I bought it for around 6,000 yen. I don't remember if it was like 6,200 or like 5,800, but it was like around 6,000. It's not exactly worth that in terms of gameplay quality, because I think this one is slightly worse than the first game. But this has basically the same problem as the previous 2 Hammerin Harry games. It's just really easy to get hit. So I don't enjoy this that much, but it's still decent. And this is 1993, so yes, this is a late Famicom release. The last Famicom game came out in 94, so. Then, however, we have my favorite game in the series, which is Ganbare Daiku no Gensan for the Super Famicom. This one also only came out in Japan. Why do I like this more? Well, first of all, you have a health bar instead of a few hits. Like the first game, you could take a maximum of 4 hits. Here you have a health bar, which takes more. There's easy time to find health items, although there's also like bad ramen or whatever, which will take away your health. But the stages are more complex than just running, jumping, going to the right. There's some verticality to the stages. It's a little more interesting. Second stage, you ride on like a moped. It's not my favorite, but at least it's a lot better than horizontal flying shooting. The music is good. It has the theme for the first stage. I actually almost beat this game. I got to the final level, but I couldn't beat it. But I will try again because I like this game. Not sure why this didn't come out in the West, but I guess Hammerin Harry by that time only had 2 games in Europe, no foothold in the United States. I don't know, but this is a good game. Actually, the first game to come out after the original was a quiz game for Game Boy, but it's a quiz game for Game Boy and it's only in Japan, so I have no interest in it. It was also planned for a Famicom port, but that never happened. Then next we have another Game Boy game, which is what I mentioned previously, that it's not as good as the first one. And this is the Roboto Teikoku no Yabo, so the ambition of the robot empire. This one has better graphics, has the same music that we all know and love. It's just that it's more annoying to play. I don't think this is as good as the other one on Game Boy. You still have the max 5 hits, that's good. But then you play the game, and up to this game, all enemies die in 1 hit, which is something I enjoy in video games. I don't like having to wail on them in this kind of game. Like, imagine if Ninja Gaiden you had to just and then they die. That would be annoying. This one, not all enemies don't die in one hit, but like the first one you run into, you have to hit them like 3 or 4 times for them to fly off the screen. And I don't like that. And then there's this thing where just this wall shoots up, then you have to fend off the enemies while jumping up there and hitting him, and then the wall goes down, and then you move a little further, and then another wall comes up. So the level design is just slightly annoying in this one. I enjoy the space theme, but I don't know, it's one of those, I haven't also really tried getting further because it's annoying to me, and I just kind of go like, whatever, and then I try another game. So then it took a long time to get another Daiku Gensan platforming game. However, sometime in the 90s he turned from just a gaming character to an Irem mascot, I think. And he became the face of their pachinko arm of the company, and he still is to this day, by the way, even though he hasn't had a game in a long ass time. But I'm not counting any of the Daiku Gensan pachinko games where you can, like in, I think it's like Pachipada 4 on the PlayStation or something, and then like later again in like 8 he's on the cover, and like the main whatever. There's a Pachi slot game with the PSP. Like, I don't care about those. I'm not going to mention it. I'm just saying they exist. But the next proper game with Daiku Gensan is this one for the Game Boy / Game Boy Color. This one has kind of an interesting title. Daiku no Gensan Tenkachi no Kachi ga Kachi. No, it's actually Kachi Kachi no Donkachi ga Kachi. I don't know where I got that title from earlier, but it's wrong. This one is interesting in a couple ways because it's pretty good. It's a puzzle platformer this time, not an action platformer. When you hit an enemy with your hammer, they don't just die, they turn into like a block. And then you move the block, and you can hit them with other weapons, and the hit enemy will act in different ways. And then you have to knock the block onto a switch, which opens an obstacle, and then you go through. And so this is much more of a cerebral type game. Now the interesting thing about this to me is that this was made by a company called Biox. And the next year, or like 2 years later, or however many years, they made this game, Samurai Kid, which is kind of sort of the exact same game. Now the levels are a bit different, and of course you play as the samurai here and Daiku Gensan here, so you attack with like a sword mostly instead. Here's a hammer mostly. But it's the same company and it's very similar, the game. Then why this needed to be Game Boy Color exclusive and this not, I don't know, but I was not talking about this game, but this game is, these games are pretty good. Heavy on I like the puzzle platforming, it's just I'm not smart enough to get through it, I'm not skilled enough, but I do enjoy them, so this one is one of the better ones. Then the final action game I don't have, but that is Hammerin Hero, or it's Ikuse Gensan. Ikuse Daiku no Gensan for the PSP, came out in 2008. This one actually finally did come to America, so yay for you, I suppose. And this one is pretty good. It certainly has good graphics. It comes with an episode of the one season anime that Daiku Gensan had. Beating stages and collecting stuff makes you get like jobs, basically, which turns Daiku no Gensan, the hammer with the carpenter Gensan, into other kinds of jobs. So he becomes like a sushi chef, then he like throws sushi at the enemies, etc, etc. So there's a bunch of different jobs for him, which makes him play different ways. That's all fine and good. I don't love this game though, because it doesn't have one hit kills, but it feels like it, and it's just the same problem as all the other games pretty much. It's so easy to die, and I suck at the games, I suppose, because it's never all the game's fault. I don't own this one, but I almost did, because when I was in Japan in 2023, or was it 2019? I don't remember, or either 19 or 23. I was at Surugaya in Shinjuku, it's Higashi Shinjuku, I think, and I saw this on the shelf for 3,300 yen, which is a steal. However, at that point, it was like 1 or 2 days before I was going to fly home. I had already spent a whole lot of money, and I decided to not buy the game, which in retrospect was a mistake, because it's pretty expensive to find. So that's the only Hammerin Harry game of the action ones anyway that I don't own, so I can't have a complete collection of Hammerin Harry games. But then again, being that I don't love all the games, maybe that's for the best. The best ones, according to me, is the first one, the Game Boy Color one, and number one of those is the Super Famicom Gambare Daiku no Gensan. I think this is the most fun. Overall though, this is a series that is okay, pretty good. I would rank it above Adventure Island, definitely. But on the other hand, it doesn't have... Whereas Adventure Island had two games that are more on the adventure side, the only thing that this series did different is the puzzle platformer that they did. Well, if you don't count quiz games and pachinko games, but not my kind of different. But good series, and now I suppose it's hammer time! No, actually, I'm not going to destroy the games. I like the games to varying degrees, but Hammerin Harry, a good series. Where is it? Could it come back, please? Not as pachinko this time, Irem. Maybe Grancella could buy it from you.